Welcome to Natural Habitat Adventures Daily Dose of Nature. I'm your host, Sunny Vanderstar. Today's topic is the mating game, weird reproductive rituals, and it will be presented by our fabulous NatHab Expedition Leader, Arpita Dutta. Arpita, thank you again for being here today and for once again bringing us a very interesting topic. Let's dive in.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sunny, for the introduction. And thank you so much, my lovely viewers, for tuning in today. And before I start, I just want to apologize because I might have to stop or because I'm having a lot of cough and a cold, blocked nose and runny nose as usual with that. So if anything happens or if I cough, please pardon me for that. Okay. So to start with, so when we talk about mating, especially when it comes to the wildlife part, we know, this is the basic thing or the most prominent thing of the mating rituals or the mating game is to reproduce. That's how the generation is growing or the next generation is coming up. But I think, of course, we are all in the same page that it's not about the population, it's not about the breeding process, it's about the whole game, like how the animal worlds react to each other. That is more interesting part of it. So we will talk about more on that how the mates attract each other or how do they move with the call of nature. And with that, the first thing, and this topic actually came to my mind because recently, I think most of the internet is flourishing with the news of the anglerfish. It has been found that the mating behavior of it, but it has been like very first time when it has been photographed with the mating pair. So while going through it, while reading it, I felt that okay, and my date was more close to it for the webinar. So I thought that okay, best if this is about the anglerfish, why not other animals getting join hands with that, and we bring this topic in. So when we talk about an anglerfish, I think looking at it, it is more like straight out from the science fiction movie. I mean, I can remember, the Jurassic Park, or of course, way before that, almost 350 million years back, the creatures in the ocean, in the water, were more this type of looking, right? The coelacanth and every species we can come across, who are the carnivores and stuff. So of course, it reminds me of that. And this weird looking fish, almost like living in an extreme inhospitable habitat, which is near about 1,000 meter to 1,600 meter deep in the ocean, where sunlight doesn't reach. So for that, it has a definite features it has grown with is it has an antenna with a lantern. So look at this weird looking fish. Let me give you a little gist about the physical features of it. If you see the teeth over here, and most of the time they keep the mouth open, look at the teeth. They are spiked, curved, few are straight, and few are broken as well. And sometimes it is difficult for the fish to even close the mouth. Their teeth are placed so abruptly near this area. And with that, look at the size, look at the size of the belly. It's so big. Almost it can hold two prey equivalent to the size of their own body. So with that, and if you notice this fin out here, does it remind you to the way back, I mean, when it is around 375 million years back, when the Tiktaalik and this ocean creatures were started coming on the land to explore it, how their fins are like thick, muscular, was there to walk on it. Their fins are more like that. And this anglerfish have been like spread out through Atlantic and Antarctic Ocean. And there are a few species all around. So with that, and this antenna, which we are talking about, it illuminates by itself, like it has the illuminescent bacteria, okay? And the light amplifies in that dark by the crystals and reflectors. I mean, it has a transparent sheet out there which it reflects. So of course, carrying that, because it needs to see its or to lure its prey towards it. And it also has a few features where there are, you see these white dots out here, over here. And of course, different species look little different. They have more antennas out from their body. They also carry these dots. They are the sensitive, just like in the fish, they have this line, lateral lines, which actually understand the pressure, temperature of the water. And the same way, these lines actually helps them to understand any kind of movement which is happening in and around, I mean, around them. According to that, they actually project. They can stand still for a while in the same place. And the lure with their lantern in front of their mouth. And of course, the smaller creatures, they move towards, and it's easier for them to feed on them. So for this, there are different, they have a variation in sizes from 8 inches to like 3.5 feet, almost, which is like 1 meter. And so this is the size, but the male can be of 1 centimeter to 1.5 centimeters. So you can imagine it's that small if we consider the size of the female. And it's about their mating behavior, and which is definitely an extraordinary and as cryptic as the fish itself. I mean, how it looks. So what happens is, when the male anglerfish smells the female pheromone, and they move towards the fish, and they stuck on the female body. I mean, they bite the body of the female, the skin of the female, and they stuck themselves with the body. They don't release it back. You can imagine the size of the male is so small to the female, and see how it holds on to the female skin. And while they get stuck to it, and gradually what happens is this: if the male stuck in its body, so gradually what happens, it loses all its organs, because the male start fusing itself, or it get fused with the female body. So when it gets stuck, it actually release some enzymes, and that enzymes slowly I would say dissolve the tissue of the female, and gradually the male start like connecting the tissue with the male, and they get fused. And not only they get fused, the male loses its eyes, its digestive system, its circulatory system, so they become one. Like, it's completely, when we say that when we love, we feel like we are the like one, two bodies in one soul. I think they really meant it physically as well, because then you don't find out a separate, it's just a bulge of skin are there, but everything they get fused except the testes, the genitals. And of course, that is also remains exactly like that. So whenever the female is spawning, ready to spawn, the they extract, they release the sperms over there and the fertilization happens. So in that way, and also a recent study has been found, because generally what happens in mammals or in every organism, they have this two immune system we have, one innate and one adaptive. So these immune systems actually protects our body or our cells from getting any outside organisms or bacteria or whatever, any antibodies. But recent studies have been found that actually these type of creatures, they lack these genes which actually which triggers this immune response. You know, they lack those genes, and that's the reason why these anglerfish, they were not reacting. There were no immunoresponse in their body. So it was meant to be like that, and this is how they reproduce. Even after missing, it's a and this thing also been said. Though it is hypothetically, it has been said, or it has been suggested that this is the process comes with the evolution, because if the male somehow get back or they just release, they never know when they're mating, even in a lifetime, because they live in that kind of a environment. It is not very general that the male or the female will meet up again. So whenever they meet, they can't leave the chances, and that's the reason why sometimes it has been found that there are one or multiple males are stuck on the female body, so that in 21 to 25 years, depending on the species they live, they can reproduce. And this anglerfish generation and their cryptic or bizarre way of mating continues. So yeah, that's very interesting. It's definitely the way it looks, its behavior is also like that. But it's so interesting that the evolution, and I think that's the reason why I'm so fan of evolution, thinking about it, that how everything has such a big reason for which things are standing here, or however right now. How every organisms are proceeding. With that, sorry, with that, the anglerfish, let's focus on from the ocean to the another nickname they have been given is the river horse. But their mating rituals is kind of a shitty business, and it is literally that, because I think most of us know about the hippos of the two species they have. The common hippos, which are the largest one, they kind of live together. So of course they live in a group, they hang around when there is less, and also it depends on the food and the availability of water that is also there. But the pygmy one are more solitary type, and of course they are smaller. But I'm talking about the bigger one. Of course they have the same behavior, but I'm focusing on this because of the aggressive part of it. And I'm sorry, I wish I could say today that I'm happy like a hippo. I'm very happy, but of course, while talking, it's difficult. But anyway, so they are large, bulky in appearance, but quite quick in both in land and water. And they have a very flexible social system or the structure, depending how many males are there, and also there are like the dominant males and stuff. Those things are there because generally the female get their sexual maturity in 3 to 4 years, but they get to mate around 7 to 8 years. And whereas the male get a chance or to prove its dominance over the group or the herd is from 13 to 15 years. So it's a long wait for the hippos to get a chance to mate with the female. And that also happens just like the rhinos. They actually stick around with the babies. So every alternative or 2 years later, they can mate with the female because the little one hangs around with the mom. So of course that brings, because they live around 40 to 50 years. So mating things or to get to reproduce, the chances become less or very less in number. So yeah, for that, they have to show that aggression between the group and the community itself. So what happens is when they stick around together and when there are females around and when it is a dominant male, because the rest of the male in that area, either they need to fight to pull over the group, or they need to, they need to be submissive. So for the dominant male, what it will do is move around behind all the females and start sniffing their butt, and till the time it finds the right female who is on heat, for the mating. And they give out a lot of like squeaky calls, like honking, uh, projectile peeing and pooping. That is what we were talking about, the shitty business. So of course, when they are wallowing in an area, they would pee there, and also they will, they projectile pooping and peeing. It's more like I have seen it in a zoo. That when I was a kid, and I was really awestruck that why somebody will poop like this, and they have been like scattering everywhere. And of course later I could figure out, okay, this is the reason why. And and even they target the female so that a few gets on her as well. I mean, that's an amazing pleasure, or the female finds it's very attractive. And when the female finds it's very attractive, even the female joins the male and they do the same thing to the female, with the male. Like, okay, this is a good start, and I think this is one of the smelliest mating ritual they follow in the hippo family. And once they do it, and then the male actually pushes the female into the deeper part of the water, and then he mount on her, and almost, because the male are pretty larger, I mean much bigger than the female, and they climb, when they mount, they almost like dip the female, or the female gets submerged under the water, and only somehow she manages to come up to breathe. But the male doesn't leave her unless and until he's done, and also sometimes show aggression if there are other females are approaching or other males are moving little close. And they do this large squeaky honking when the mating is going on. This is to show the rest of the group that, okay, I am done, like I'm in, not done, but yes, I got the opportunity to mate with a female, and this procedure is on. So this is how it happens. So the male like move around with the female for a while, and to just guard her from the other male nearby. But they are polygamous, so of course they move out, and the female after almost 8 months, 240 days to 8 months, it gives a birth to the baby hippo. And of course, the hippos, they are big, but they look definitely very not so good, like I would say. But I think the baby hippos are one of the cutest. And if you all can find out, or if you have come across Fiona, which was born in a zoo, it was a premature baby, and the female rejected the baby over there, and the zoo. Like keepers, curators, they actually raised the baby. So if you search it in a YouTube for Fiona, the baby hippo, I think you will get an amazing sight of how the baby hippo responds to, you know, response to the curators, and how it got reunited with the mother. So of course they are very cute, they are very nice, but of course it's between the aggression, the selection, the seduction, everything matters to keep going, of course. Sorry, once again. And with that, so this is more like the stinky part of it we are talking about, that the all the shit and peeing, I think they are also sort of in the same thing, you know, because we know about the porcupines. This is a crested porcupine we found in India, like we find the species in India. So what happened is, generally with the porcupine, we know there are different species and they have different techniques, but all come together at one point is the male to release its pheromone to stings, because when the female are in their they have a very short estrous cycle. So, and during that time they need to mate, which remains almost 8 to 12 hours, and within that time the male needs to find her, because she also released the pheromone that she's ready to mate, and the male has to shower this golden water on her to impress her. And of course, if she likes the smell of uh, of the male's urine, then she will stick with him, and they will keep on copulating again and again unless the male get exhausted almost. Yeah. This is more like that, because the window is very small and she needs to, because most of the time it's not possible for, I mean, it's not, it has been the vaginal area is blocked by some like some chemical, so that the male don't I mean females don't allow male to mate. It doesn't stop there, but imagine this pricky spiny thing. So how it becomes like, how do they mate? I mean, of course it's difficult for the male to go and not only pee, but of course to mate, to mount on a female is difficult. So female sometimes, when she is interested, she will lift its tail back on its back, so that it's guard its the quills at the back, and the male will lift its front paw and walk till the back until it touches its hold its hold the back of the female with its front paw, and then they start copulating. This is how the mating happens. So you first pee, then you give the accessibility, and then but you have to be quite, aware enough to protect yourself while mating. So yeah, this is another peeing story that it's fascinating, that how pee can make somebody so interested. And with that, sorry, and with that, I think we have to talk about one of the most intelligent and smart creature we know as one of the cephalopods, which is the octopus. And octopus has already demonstrated, their intelligence in number of ways, right? So they are smart, whether it's like when it comes to mimicry or camouflage, I think they do it very precisely. So even their mating rituals also varies quite interesting, and definitely it also varies. The behavioral thing varies between species to species. Sorry. And so what happens again in the water? And so they find each other through chemical cues, the pheromones, the waterborne pheromones, I would say. And when the male approaches the female, uh, who like fends him off for a while. It's more like, I think it's the tigers do that, and the crocs do that. Many animals actually they try to do that. The compatibility match, that how much you can fight me back, kind of a thing. So, and in some species in Australia, actually, in some species, it has been seen also that the female is trying to throw shells and sands towards the male, and few actually hit the male which was there, who borders the female. So they do that. God knows how do they know that we need to throw something. I mean, generally we know when we are fighting and or we are just in a verbal fight, something, our hands touches or we might throw, but they somehow learned that as well. So yeah, they sometimes who fends them off, they do all these things. And but when she accepts him, he sits next to her, and then slowly they touches their tentacles, they stick their like suckers with each other, and then the male mount on her. And during meeting, uh I mean, this is how they approaches. And yeah, so what happens there in during octopuses, it's not only about the mating part, it's about the process. They guard the female when they find a mate. First of all, they are solitary. They would come together when they need to mate. And if there is a male, they will start staying the den beside the female. But sometimes there are other males with sneak, who are the sneakers, and they would camouflage, or they would mimic as the female to escape the eye of the male, that he's trying to mate with his female. How interesting that is. Imagine. I mean, if you're thinking that, okay, I need to woo this female, and I need to take a chance, so I need to make a fool of that guy who is actually staying with the female. So they do that. And not all species, but yeah, again, there are different species which they do. And they sometimes, to avoid cannibalism and stuff, they sometimes mimic the female itself. So these things has been seen in octopus. And also they display colors, patterns, and different size and shapes to impress the female, and also to give the indication that he is ready to mate, he is ready to approach the female. And the same way, if the female is interested, she also reflects few colors, she moves her eyes, and that's how they know that, okay, we can start our ritual. And what happens in octopus is the male have the arm, like they have the modified arm called the they call the hectocotylus. Okay, the hectocotylus, how it looks like is, they are the arm, and see over here, they don't have the suckers of this arm. So they are at the end, the suckers are missing. So here you can see. So what they do is, when they come close to the female, they actually insert this to their oviductal gland over here, and they release the spermatophore out here. Spermatophore contains all those sperms, and once they release it, sometimes they stick there for a few minutes, or it can long last for a few hours. Again, depend on the species, because there are a few species which cannibalize. The female get hold of the male and it starts feeding on it. I think it's the male she takes to gain all the energy before she release those eggs. Sometimes to like to save himself, they detach the part of the arm and they move quickly from the female. And because of that, there are generally, it has been seen in different species that in the giant Pacific octopus, they they attack uh, the display behavior, and after waiting, they go, their separate ways. I mean, they don't do anything, they don't kill each other, but they stick around for a while and they say bye bye and they are on their way. And in common octopus, what they do, they show a lot of aggression. Even sometimes the male bites the female and do a lot of damages over there. And of course, the male, after mating, die within few months, and the female, of course, lay and guard their eggs until they hatch. So yeah, there are this kind of, I mean, even in octopus there are different way of these rituals and different way of giving the production, I mean doing the reproduction part. And once they are done, they move away from there. And of course, octopus being so fascinating, and the female sacrifices her life to produce new babies into the world. I think that's a beautiful thing. Though it's disheartening, but that's a beautiful thing, the sacrifice of it. Yeah, with the octopus. And then we go with one of my favorite, is the bonobos. I mean, we know about the chimps, how they behave. They got so much, like they are very closely related to us. Almost with bonobos, we have 98% almost, genetic similarities are there. I mean, it has been found, of course, but they are kind of a chimps who are not been seen showing much aggression whenever they are hanging around together, because most of the time we know about the apes or the primates, there is a dominance of the hierarchy. You know how the hierarchy goes. If you have seen the Monkey Kingdom, and if you haven't, do watch that documentary. I think it's an amazing storytelling thing, but showing the primates, the hierarchy, the family orientation, it has been shown very nicely. So yeah, with that, we know that they show their aggression, and of course there are dominance of the male, but here the female are the boss. They regulate the community, and it has been observed that female, uh, they are very gentle, and they they actually resolve conflicts through sexual contacts, and they employ various means of communication such as facial expression, body language, gestures, vocalization, and also they engage in activities like tongue kissing, oral sex, and genital massaging. Imagine, these chimps, they have actually made this sexual activity not only a pleasurable thing, but to stop the conflict or to maintain the decorum in that group, you know. So whenever there is an aggression is happening, it has been seen that the female, if there are two male fighting between each other, the female comes, they try to make, calm them down while hanging on two hands and rubbing their genitals on his arms or legs. Or maybe two female will come close together showing different sexual activities in front of these fighting males, which actually distract them from fighting, and they don't show the aggression. How fascinating that is to think about. And you know what? And this group in bonobos, the female are the boss. So what happens here in the community? The male don't leave the group. The female, actually, the young female, leave the group and go to another group in search of the male. But there is a thing, they don't go straight to the male. Rather, they go to the female, who is at the hierarchical position, and she tries to bond with that female because she knows if she gives the access to her to mate with the male, she will be in a higher position because the status of a male bonobo is derived from the status of his mother. And even the mother helps her son to mate with different uh, females who have been welcomed in that group. Just think about the social structure, and while doing that, it has been because they are very unusual, and it has been seen that the females are giving like sexual pleasure to each other. The scientists have collected urine to measure the level of oxytocin. So oxytocin is the hormone, which is related for the sexual, sexual urge or thing after, it releases that time. So, and it has been found that when a female is mating with a male, the level of oxytocin is relatively smaller than when the female is sharing some sexual intimacy with a female. But the conclusion the scientists have come up with is because, this could be that to show their dominance over the male, that okay, you guys can sit back, we know what we are doing. We really don't, it doesn't matter whether you are here or not, but to maintain that dominance could be because their behavior has shown that, and males are quite, so they do more on preening or cleaning themselves, socializing. This is a big part in their life. Even after mating the female, which has been bonding with the main hierarchical female, even after mating with the male, she will be back to the female and stick around with her, giving all this, giving this all bondings. They keep on replacing those bondings with each other. So this is how the bonobos actually react in their term of the rituals. So here the rituals have been done or has been played with the female rather than the male in the group. So this is how it works with them. And with that, of course, I have been showing a lot of animals, but this is the first one I showed, the habitat, because this is one of my favorite, or rather, I find it very fascinating creature I'll be talking about. So they live in this kind of habitat. This is a mangrove forest, and in the Ishwarin area. So this is Sundarbans National Park. Any mangrove forest, they would be there where is the murky water are there, and any so they live in a very few places, not everywhere you can see them. And here I'm talking about the Mudskipper, and the flamboyant boys, I would say, who moves around, the female, and of course they kind of walk on the land. They are the walking fish on the land. They come out from the water and they actually dig up a hole, and they stay over there by closing the mouth of the hole. So this is how they come out, they feed, and they go back into that hole. And they have the lung as well, like the catfish, the lung breather. So yeah, but this reminds me actually of the Titanic when you see them walking. And over here, what happens is the male actually show off its fins, and there are different species of mudskipper, but few have very very broad fins depending on the area they live in. And so over here, the male flaunts his fins and also its body. And for female, it's the bigger the better. And but of course, there is nothing, it's so easy without a fight with your rival one which is near you. So of course, when they are showing off, they kind of, first of all, they fight, and to the female, they need to show how far or how above they can jump from the land. The more higher the male can jump by flaunting its fins, the female chooses that male. And once they do the fighting part, just look at them. Once they do the fighting part, the dominant one, of course, they bite each other, they crawl beside, they almost interlock their mouth together to do the fight. They roll in that mud, and of course the loser had to then leave the male, and it moves into the water nearby. And this is how it happens. And when the female gets impressed by all this show off of the male, then she kind of follows the male to the hole, and they live there. I mean, she went there, and of course they breed over there. So this house very fascinating, and though it looks more like the mud and the marquee, and the pictures really don't do justice. I mean, when you see them, this beautiful little fish, the largest one I have seen is near about 5 inches, or near about 5 inches. So you can imagine that how small it is. They reflect beautiful colors under the sun, and this is the whole thing. And of course, in this kind of area, because these are tidal zone, in this kind of area, they have to be really calculative. They have to maintain the time, because once the tide in, they won't get this mud flat anymore. So within that 6 hours of time, they have to do the feeding, the mating, even for their holes. I mean, for the resting holes, they have to fight to protect that. So a lot of thing happens within those 6 hours of time they get in between to regenerate and to show their mating rituals. With that, I think we have so many creatures. It's difficult. I mean, even if we only take one animal at a time to talk about in detail, even that would be more. But there are so many fascinating animals around us who behave. I mean, who shows us amazing rituals, like mating rituals. For example, the bee, the male climb on the back of the queen bee, and sometimes they shoot the last portion of it where the genitals are stuck with the female. The tortoise, they are very slow, soft and all, but while doing mating, they're so aggressive. I'm sorry. They are so aggressive, and they literally, you can hear them. They almost growl. Like, it's not only hissing sound, they almost growls. You can hear the vocalization. It's so loud, and they beautifully nod their head, and they keep circling the female, lifting its body up, asking for her acceptance. So it's beautiful to watch them. And of course, there's mannequins in Costa Rica. They're amazing. I would like to see them someday, especially when they group together to impress one female. The main one, of course, dances hip hop, sounds much better. But to give some add to those dance, the other junior artist, I mean, how it says, the other junior artist would be, moving around, hopping to flash the colors and signs. the garter snakes, of course, the mating balls happen. It looks very yucky, I think. I mean, a lot of people find it, but it's amazing to see how the female releases the pheromone, and all the male, like mad man. I mean, they come crawling above the female and start getting this ball around. And of course, this puffer fish, which creates this beautiful, it's like a painting on the sea floor, on the seabed, and they make this all grooves and all to attract the female, to let them see what this architecture or the artistic mind it has. So it's been beautiful thing that how animals lure their partners or try to attract their mate. I think that makes us things amazing, more than the mating process or the reproduction part of it. And yes, with all this thing, we do have these little ones which comes out they enter into the new life, and the process goes on. And of course, and that's definitely the most beautiful part of it, to see the new life. Thank you so much for listening. Sunny, I'm ready to take up questions, and I'm again so sorry, but I had to stop few times in between.
Oh, no worries. That was fascinating. We have some great questions already, but I want to remind everyone that they can submit questions via the questions field in the control panel. So getting back to the earlier part of your presentation about anglerfish, are the anglerfish young born live or deposited as eggs that hatch?
Eggs. So
Eggs,
so what they do is when they deposit the eggs, they deposit in a flat sheet kind of a thing, and once they're about to hatch, they release those. They float. They kind of make them float with the sea, with the water current.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how they start moving. I mean, this is how they lay eggs.
Mm-hmm. And does fertilization in the anglerfish occur inside or outside of the body?
They happens inside of the body, because it's get all completely fused with that, apart from the testicles, just to release it, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One of our viewers said they love seeing the mudskippers on the sand in cans. Do you know if mudskippers are a link between fish and reptiles, or anything more about the evolution of mudskippers that you can share with us?
Oh my God, that would be that's because no, they are fish actually. It's not with the reptiles, but I mean with the current mudskipper we have is definitely from the fish family, and it's not related to the reptile. But if we really go back at how the mudskipper looks like, then we have to actually, from that 370 million years back, how things have started to crawl back on the land, because the mudskippers, they have to go back to the water. That's there. But I think this is a wonderful question. There is no link, of course, but this is a big thing to come through the evolution, because it has to start from the very early thing. I think it will be difficult to answer actually in such short time.
Can you remind us that,
I mean, there is no link.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That is yeah.
Okay. Can you remind us the name of the animal that does that beautiful geometrical design on the seafloor?
That's a puffer fish.
Puffer fish. Okay. Excellent. Well, that is the last question we have for you today. So I will pass it back to you for closing comments.
Okay. Thank you so much for listening to this. And thank you all for asking questions. Even I'm thinking actually, after you ask the questions, that I'll go back again for the evolution part of it, and get through more if I can find. I'll share with you with this. But thank you so much. I mean, even I wasn't feeling well, but when it's in webinar, and I know that I can like communicate, I can share my thoughts, I can share whatever I know I have learned. It's been always a great like feeling altogether. And thanks to all of you. Have a great day, and thank you so much, Sunny. You too have
Well,
a great day ahead.
thank you again, Arpita. And I just want to share the comments that are coming in about how fascinating this topic was, and lots of wishes for you to feel better soon. So we are all pulling
Thank
for you.
you.
We hope you get over this cold quickly and enjoy the rest of your week. But thank you again for bringing us such fascinating things to think about. I want to also thank everybody who tuned in and submitted some great questions today. Please join us again tomorrow for our next Daily Dose of Nature. You can check out this week's lineup, including registration links, on our website at nathab.com/webinars. We did record today's presentation, and we will have the replay available on our website soon. With that, we'll conclude the webinar. Have a wonderful day, everyone.